check, 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 chop it down, check, 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 chop it down, chop it down, chop it down, you gon' chop it down, chop it down, chop it down, chop it down, you gon' chop it down.
I just appreciate everybody
Damn,
watching. Man.
Watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good morning to everybody. How are you doing? All that good stuff, man. Welcome, man, to the Washington Commanders Morning Show. God damn, bro. What's up with this carpet? Welcome, man. Let me go ahead and get my music going. Ooh, I hope y'all had y'all cup of coffee. Hold on one second. Get this thing situated. My music good. There we go. All right, bet. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you all just get the administrative items out of the way, Jesus Christ, if you are new or if you're just tuning in or while you're, just settling, to make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you are not subscribed, make sure you hit that follow button. If you are not following over on the Twitch side, we appreciate it. Make sure you go ahead and take a look at last night's episode of the Trap or Dive podcast. AJ, Jerry, myself, the future Washington, future Ron Rivera. How can they bounce back from, the first two losses of the season, first two consecutive losses of the season, hopefully the last two consecutive losses of the season, or consecutive in a sense. But yeah, go ahead, tap into that. All right. So here we are. It's film session time. Shout out to the Morning Trappers. Can't forget that as well. Hawk, appreciate you checking in. So my thing is, as we all know, right, that the game against the Eagles was a tough watch. It's a tough watch on both sides of the ball for certain periods of time. It was tough in the second quarter to watch these guys defensively give up those explosive plays. But then offensively, it was tough throughout the entire game. So we're trying to figure out, how can we recover? How can things get better? What was the good? What was the bad? And things like that. What's going on, Jerry? Good morning to you. Good morning, Hawk. Once again, shout out to the Morning Trappers. I have to embed that in my language. But yeah, you're trying to figure out all these things about this team and where did things go wrong? And it's a ton of things. We're not gonna beat around the bush. I think a lot of it had to do, to be honest with you, obviously the offensive line struggled, but and it really was a three-phase issue from O-line to quarterback to coordinator, right? And even in the run game, as you look back in the game, the run game, while it was producing in the first half, a lot of those plays were made by the running backs. Some of those carries, like if you remember, a lot of complaints were about how you're averaging nearly 5 yards a carry, while straight away from the run. And another thing you notice when you watch the tape, there were a couple of occasions where Philly was giving up the run because Washington faced long down and distance situations. So you can give up 5 or 6 yards here and there and still be able to be in good position, right? So that increases your average. Another way that increases your average is by the effort of your running back. The offensive line altogether had a rough day in the run game as well as pass protection. And that is something where when you think about, like, why didn't they do more on the ground? I think that the offensive line was challenged throughout the day in both phases of football, run and pass. And they had a hard time against these guys. And without further ado, I think we'll start with the defense this morning. I got some tape defensively, but Offensively, it's probably going to be the longest conversation. So let's get through the defense and some things that, for the most part, you know, they had a good day, right? But let's see. Let's start out with some of the good. Where are we at? I have a lot of clips, but I don't want to overwhelm it with some of the minute things. Let's see. Let's go with, which one is this? How is it that Washington's three receivers? How is it that three Washington receivers are top in routes but not getting the ball? Terry out there just doing cardio on some days. Yeah, and to be honest with you, Jaren, it's a Scott Turner thing, and then it's a Carson Wentz thing. We're going to talk about some of the issues with Carson Wentz today, and how Carson has to see things a little bit quicker than what he is. And it's hurting the offense at this point. It really is hurting the offense at this point. So let's go ahead and get through some of the defensive plays that was really good, and what led me to think, like, you know, the narrative. We'll get into it, but you know the narrative for Washington, right? In that, you know, they have a hard time against mobile quarterbacks. I call it a narrative because, I mean, that it is what it is, but it's also true. It's a true narrative. But I think when you watch this tape against the Eagles defensively, sure, there were some times where Jalen Hurts was effective with his arm, and there was also some times where Washington wasn't disciplined in their rush lanes. Shaka Toney was able to get upfield and get too far upfield and gave a lane in the alley for Jalen Hurts to scramble. It only went for 4 yards because of good eyes from the linebackers and good speed to really shut the play down. But when you watch this tape against the Eagles, you're like, there is no way, with how well they executed against the Eagles, that they should be struggling moving forward with mobile quarterbacks. If you've shown that you can do it against Jalen Hurts, an MVP candidate who's winning with his arm, by the way, there is no way that you should be struggling against mobile quarterbacks moving forward. So what does that mean? Like, Washington has, and I know I'm talking a lot of time, I'm really just setting the tone about how well they played up front in the trenches. But Washington has, in terms of mobility, you have Ryan Tannehill coming up, Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts again, Marcus Mariota, Daniel Jones, and Deshaun Watson, and maybe Dak Prescott in Week 18. So you're going to have opportunity to face several mobile quarterbacks, right? And I think, again, when we get to it, and this is going to be the first play, when we get to it, you'll see that they did a really good job, for the most part, containing Jalen Hurts and forcing him to make throws from the pocket and move laterally, but also be in position to prevent him from going upfield and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get into it. First play, and here we go. Let's go ahead and run it back one more time. I think this is probably like one of the first, if not second. I think it's the first play of the game. So obviously Jonathan Allen is your one tech, so he's closest to number 62 and 69, and then you have Montez Sweat on the outside, the edge, and basically sealing. So what you're seeing here, part of, you know, being able to face a mobile quarterback is also being able to win at the point of attack, at the snap. And while you're not always going to get reps like this at the line of scrimmage, your playmakers have to make plays and you have to win. And Jonathan Allen wins initially with the person that's trying to pin him, and he beats him with a swim move, is able to get back into play, affects it in the backfield. But you also have Montez Sweat, who crashes down and gets around those pullers, right? Number 69, he's able to get around the puller and squeeze. And then you have F.A. Obata, I think, who is 97, who essentially has eyes on the quarterback. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. He's crashing to the running back, but you have Cole Holcomb, is what I meant to say, has eyes on the quarterback. So you see, everything is locked down in terms of assignment. You got your defensive lineman flowing to the football. They're recognizing the blocks, right? In terms of Montez Sweat. recognizing the blocks and getting around it, able to squeeze. And then you have Cole Holcomb, an athletic linebacker, for what it's worth, a guy who hasn't been playing too good. But you have an athletic linebacker with eyes on the quarterback, regardless of if it's a handoff or not. So up front, you're executing in terms of winning at the point of attack, which you're defeating your blocks, but also you have sound assignment. Not to mention Jamin Davis, right, who is meeting that puller, meeting 68 in the hole. So he's recognizing his block in his assignment. So everything is there. And while you do see right here in this moment, when Jamin Davis meets that blocker in 68, in theory, there is a lane for him to run. But again, part of being able to play disciplined football, in addition to being a good defensive line, is making plays. So they prevent him from even getting there. And then obviously Cole Holcomb, having that sound discipline on Jalen Hurts. So in theory, again, that's one reason why when you look at these mobile quarterbacks in assignment football, how important that is. Let's go ahead. Which one was this? Yeah, there we go. RPO. Again, same thing. Assignment football, but also winning at the point of attack. So 69 tries to... Is that 69 or 68? Yeah, I think that's 69. I think that was a base block. I can't tell. Or maybe a reach block. But either way, John Adams defeats the block. Recognizes that it's PA, play action. Cam Curl steps up, right, because he's respecting the run. So there's a small window behind him. But at the same time, with Jonathan Allen defeating his block, making a play, penetrating the backfield, putting pressure on Hurts, he deflects it, and AJ Brown doesn't have a chance at the football. So again, your linemen making plays at the line of scrimmage, at the point of attack, and putting stress on these guys. Okay, another one with assignment football, because I'm gonna get into Benjamin St-Juste on a couple plays as well. I really liked what I saw with Ben St-Juste. I'm out. All right. Oh no, this ain't. Damn it. We're gonna go back to this one. All right. So don't mind that one. I pulled the wrong one. Where is the Shaka Tony one? Here we go. All right. So here you go. This is one of Jamin Davis's credited sacks, I believe. Hey Gerard, appreciate you checking in. Good morning to everybody. Good morning to the morning trappers that's checking in here live on the Commanders Morning Show. So here you go with the defense in terms of, again, and just a reminder for people who are just checking in, my theory with this defense and how they played against Jalen Hurts. Obviously, preparation is important in terms of understanding what they did a year ago and understanding who the player and the opponent is. But ultimately, you have Ryan Tannehill coming up, Justin Fields coming up, Jalen Hurts again, Marcus Mariota, Daniel Jones twice, and then you have Deshaun Watson and Dak Prescott coming up. Like, in terms of mobile quarterbacks and that narrative for people in which they say, Washington has a tough time defending mobile quarterbacks. While that's true, I think the performance that they had against the Eagles this past Sunday shows that there is no way, with the way that they played against Jalen Hurts and how they prepared in terms of executing assignment football, there's no way that you can really sit here and say that they can't defend mobile quarterbacks anymore. Like, they've shown the capability. But yeah, here's what we saw with this play right here, right? So you see Shaka Tony, he's at the far end, so he's going to be at the bottom of your screen. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, so he's going to be at the bottom of your screen, right? Closest to the receiver and closest to the tight end that's off ball. And what really helps this situation, right, is Shaka Tony recognizing that 3 is trying to block him. Again, remember when we talked about that defensive line, right? Understanding the blocks that's in front of you, defeating the blocks that's in front of you. So 3 tries to chip him or down block, whatever it is. It looks like a down block. And he defeats it, gets outside of it. And then obviously getting outside of it, you're anticipating some boot action, which actually happens. So he's outside, far outside containment. He's not letting them beat him around the edge. So this part, how he's Jalen Hurts ultimately gets around the edge is the fact that, again, Shaka Toney beats the block, but Jalen Hurts is a good player too. So instinctively, he has good instincts and athleticism to really quickly transition back to that outside, right? So that little shifty hip motion gets outside. So Shaka Toney, while he does a good job containing, like, you're going up against Jalen Hurts, that's going to be a problem. But none of that matters because Jamin Davis. And that's probably the thing when you talk about Jamin Davis in terms of how he can erase things sideline to sideline. That is the biggest part right there, is seeing how quickly he can recover and get back into a play. Again, respecting the run. If you look at Jamin, respecting the run right here in the boot action, which he's supposed to do. But now he's getting back in the flow of the play with eyes on Jalen Hurts. But in that same vein, you look at the coverage, right? Everything is going in flow. Bobby McCain, that's Cam Curl, I'm tripping. But Cam Curl jumps down on that crosser, right? Eliminates the crosser option. You have Cole Holcomb, who has eyes on the tight end. I didn't mean to go back that far. Cole Holcomb has eyes on the tight end as he's going back. So that option is eliminated with a safety over the top. So somewhat of a bracket in a sense, like a natural bracket. And then Benjamin St-Juste eliminating anything in the flats. Like, he's playing both that tight end and he's playing that flat area. So he's trying to make sure he has himself in a good split between the two. But ultimately, again, Jamin Davis hawks it down, ends the play. Done deal. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into Benjamin St-Juste, because we got to give him a shout out. Scramble drill. Okay, here we go. So what really stands out from this rep altogether is the fact that, is this what I think it is? Yeah, it is. All right, hold on. Remove from studio. Give me 2 seconds. All right, here we go. So what really helps in this situation is actually understanding, like, how comfortable Ben was on this play altogether. So the guy is able to cross his face, right? But his athleticism and quickness is able to keep him in the play. So he's still sticking him, right? But ultimately, again, still sticking him. Now he's in a trail situation. And his comfortability, like, while he's in that space, to not necessarily panic, like I did a couple times in space, just making sure that you have eyes and you're able to keep, like, with your speed and your foot speed, able to stay in phase and stay in a good position to defend anything with this guy. Ultimately affects the pass incomplete. Easy money for Ben in that situation. Another situation for Ben, where are we at? 3rd and 13 against AJ Brown. Very good coverage. And I think the most impressive thing is how he was able to prevent AJ from getting into his blind spot, right? And also that's the one thing, but then also understanding where the sticks are. So again, 3rd and 13, bail technique, back to, eyes on the quarterback, back to your receiver, but maintaining like you'll see it right here. Hold on. So obviously eyes transition, he transitions to the bail technique, eyes on the quarterback and monitoring AJ Brown. But how he's able to do that is keep himself from a technique standpoint, keep himself positioned where he has enough vision or like peripheral in a sense to really understand where AJ Brown is at all times, right? And stay closer to the sidelines as he's in that bail technique. And that's how you're not allowing somebody to get into your blind spot. So like as AJ Brown is pushing up field, you're able to see Benjamin St-Juste shift in what's the word that I'm thinking of? Sometimes these things are hard to come by with words with me, but you're able to see him move closer towards the sideline as he continues into his back pedal, essentially. So like he's maintaining vision on both receiver and quarterback. But the good thing is he understands where the sticks are as well. So that's why he's sticking AJ Brown at this point. Curl route is no good. Able to make a play on the ball. Very good coverage right there. Then we have one more for Ben. Got to give him some credit. Here we go. the end zone shot. This one to Devonte Smith, a speedster, like we already know, 4'3" guy, very fast. But ultimately, let's go ahead and start from this one, and also how they stay disciplined in their rush lanes. We'll talk about that one as well. So I like how they played the stack alignment between Philly. So you got that one receiver on the line, and you got another receiver right behind him. And the way Benjamin St-Juste did, obviously, he went outside with the outside receiver. So now he's in a trail technique, essentially, just making sure anything doesn't get inside, and if he does, he's in position to defend it, right? So just staying patient, staying calm, using his feet, trusting himself, still trusting himself, and now the ball is in the air. He makes a play, easy money. Like that's as good as a technique as you can have, and having that confidence on the outside to really make a play on the football and also stop your receiver. Like prevent your receiver from getting the football. Like when the ball is in the air, how comfortable are you? And he didn't panic. He trusted his speed. Devonte Smith is a really fast guy, but staying in phase and staying in his hip pocket and making sure that you maintain your leverage. That was as good as it gets for Benjamin St-Juste. But up front too, which forced Jalen Hurts to really stay in the pocket, is the rush lane. I see you up. So you get a cover zero blitz essentially. Everybody out there is man to man. And these are the rush lanes. So you see what really helped this was how Holcomb attacked Jalen Hurts, right? He was patient enough. He was waiting to see where his guy Jamin Davis was going to go, right? So Jamin Davis goes outside, and now he has that lane where he's not running into what Davis's rush plan is. So I think if Davis was to go inside here, right? If Davis was to go inside at this point, Cole Holcomb will wrap around him. But Davis stayed outside, so Cole Holcomb goes inside. Essentially, again, back to the point, understanding how to contain and keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket, that's one way to do it. So that's really good rush. Obviously, you want to see somebody get home, right? Like, Payne almost gets home. He almost gets home. But keeping that guy in the pocket, forcing him to throw, and that's the coverage that you get on the back end from Benjamin St-Juste, really good. Yeah, we got a couple plays from Kendall Fuller too. We can go ahead and tap into that. Let me see if I covered Benjamin St-Juste all the way. Yeah, so I got it's a couple other plays from Ben St-Juste that was just really good sound coverage altogether on the outside the numbers. But yeah, that's good. Let's go ahead and get to Kendall Fuller. What I really liked here from Kendall was his ability, again, when we talk about leverage, because we always, what's going on, Jay? Appreciate you checking in. Good morning. Kendall Fuller is the leverage part. Like, there are also times where, you know, you have issues with Kendall Fuller in space maintaining his leverage, right? And this one, in a true, like, just a man situation, you see Kendall Fuller in a situation where, you know, he maintains his inside leverage, right? So at this point, staying in phase with your guy, if he goes vertical, because at this point, you got to think about the routes that you can run. Like, as he continues to go vertical, he can either run a comeback, a go, or in route, or like a dig type, right? But either way, Kendall Fuller is in position because he's maintaining his leverage. And as you continue to go upfield, staying in phase is always big, right? He has that half-man relationship. That is important. And then he's just there for the coverage part. So again, good coverage by Fuller right here. And that was really good early on. And to be honest with you, the problem that Kendall Fuller gets into, and we'll get into it right now, is what's hindering a lot of people in this secondary. And we'll talk about it. Let's go ahead and get into Kendall Fuller. Let's go ahead and get into this one. So we saw this play, right? That's a big play for Devonte Smith. What I heard from Ron Rivera too, right, in this instance was what could have helped Fuller in this part. And also, people, when you all see where Bobby McCain is aligned, Like, for him to even get in position to make a play on the football, like, there's no way that you can truly discredit the effort from Bobby McCain, right? Like, the effort from Bobby McCain is one thing. His ability to cover the ground is another thing. But what really hurt on this play was actually Kendall Fuller, based on what Ron Rivera said. He said his alignment was different. Now, this is a little quarters coverage, I believe. But he said that the alignment, if he was a little bit further inside Kendall Fuller, he would be in better position to make a play on the ball, and he wouldn't have to rotate the way in which he did. So he starts wider than Ron Rivera would have liked him to believe. And obviously that's what gets him turned out, right? So that's what he's saying with the alignment. In that instance, excuse me. But look at the ground that Bobby McCain is covering. Look at that ground right there. It actually looked like a cover 6 situation, not quarters. But either way, it don't matter. Like, people are clowning Bobby for this, but Bobby is the one who tried to make a play on the ball. It wasn't that great of an attempt, but you know what I'm saying? So when you get out leveraged, that's kind of a situation that you put yourself in. So that's one thing, right? That was just good pass protection. Let me see. Was this the stunt play? No, it wasn't. Okay. So there you go. That's one instance. Another instance right here. In position, sticky coverage. But my point about what hurts this guy is the fact that, you know, how do you make plays on the football? Kendall Fuller isn't, like, people say he's a ball hog, right? AJ said it on the show last night. In a sense, he is, when he can see it, when he can have eyes on the quarterback. But he's not necessarily, I don't think he's that good at making plays on the football, especially when he's locked in on a receiver. Like, that's the difference. When he's not locked in on a receiver, it's hard for him to make a play on the football. So while you're in position and you basically get out jumped, and like, that's just a highlight. That's a poster. But you gotta try to make plays on the football, and for Washington and for Kendall Fuller, it's just not part of his game in a sense. So it's not like he played it bad. That's really good coverage. It's just what limitations does he have, and that's how I'm getting at. It's not a problem, and like, oh, he needs to do this better. It's just a limitation, I think, and that's ultimately what this happens with, or that's what happens in that situation. One more thing. I don't know. I mean, I think it's an interesting idea, but again, like we just talked about Bobby. Oh, sorry. Let me go ahead and show the comment. Make Fuller a safety help. I think when we just talked about Bobby, like Bobby and Derek Forrest and Cam Curl they'll be playing safety just fine. It's really on Kendall Fuller to be better. Like, we can't you know, put a problem at one position and rotate it and hope that, you know, that person will be better when the people at the current position, meaning safeties, are playing okay. Like, they are fine. Kendall Fuller, you gotta live and die with what he's good at and what he's not good at this point. Slot, like people mentioned the slot with Kendall Fuller. Look, you can try it, right? But I don't think that's gonna be an answer. Personally, I think it really just comes down to who Kendall Fuller is. You got to understand that part. You got to understand who Kendall Fuller is. It's really not about him. And then one more thing with Kendall, and then we'll get to the offense. Now, this one was a good example of like how they aren't able to really handle mesh, but also when you run a cover one situation, or it's going to be hard for Kendall Fuller to really. Oh, I got two more. I'm sorry. So it's hard for Kendall Fuller to really keep up with Devonte. So I don't fault him here in the sense of being able to keep up with a very fast receiver. But again, when we talk about those slot situations with Kendall, right? Where is Kendall Fuller aligned? He's not aligned out wide. He's in the slot right now. So that first plant and go for Devonte is what does him in. So Devontae's at like the 41-yard line, if not the, he's currently at like the 43-yard line. And Kendall Fuller's like 2 or 3 yards off of him, right? But he takes a step and a half back and gives Devontae that free release inside. He already lost. But then at this point, what hurts him is the receiver coming down on the mesh sets that little rub action. Like he fakes the rub action. So what that ultimately does again is slow him down. Easy money for the receiver, Jalen Hurts. Easy money for Devonte Smith to turn upfield. But here's the one thing that I wanted to point out, and what hurts the offensive line for the Commanders is how easily they're able to pick up the stunt protection the Philadelphia Eagles are, right? So what you saw right here, let's go ahead and run it back one more time. You got a blitz from Cole Holcomb and Derek Forrest. So what Montez Sweat is trying to do, if you look on the right side, they're using somewhat of it's an ET twist. So you got Montez Sweat from that wide crashing in. And I'll say ET twist, I meant Cole Holcomb, so not Jonathan Allen. So it's a stunt game, essentially. So Montez Sweat is crashing in, right? But look at the eyes of the guard and the tackle. Again, Sweat crashing in. He's expecting something to come behind it. Look where his eyes is at, the left tackle, excuse me. Passes him off to his left guard. Cole Holcomb is easily picked up. Threat averted. But also Montez Sweat is picked up as well. And I highlight this part because this happened throughout the game in terms of their stunt pickups. Like, it's really good recognition. Is what makes the offensive line consistently good at one thing. And what Washington struggles at is instances in which they're not able to pick up these stunt protections. If you look against the Detroit Lions, right? The Detroit Lions ran a few stunts and twists, right? That freed up people on the second level as well. And you have Chase Rouillet at one point struggle, but then you had the interior guards having issues picking up those stunt protections. And that's kind of what makes the offensive line as good as they are. Like last year with Washington, they didn't have too many issues picking up stunt protections. We're talking about Brandon Sheriff. We're talking about Eric Flowers on the interior. And then obviously you had to deal with a center problem, but they didn't have issues picking up stunt twists and things like that. Like, that wasn't a problem. So the way in which the Eagles are disciplined offensively, that's what a good stunt protection and stunt pickup looks like in terms of awareness, your instincts to pick this up, but also your ability to pass it off to your teammate. And that's when you talk about chemistry and being able to work together in unison, understanding what you're supposed to do, what you want to do together, communicating that. That is where my concerns are with this interior line and the offensive line in general, is because you have John Matsko, right, who is a good coach, and I'm not taking that away from him, you have to also deal with the fact that sometimes your players may not be as good as what you once had. And you can't get the best out of everyone if they just aren't that good. And I'm not writing the book on these guys, but right now you ain't seeing them work together. You're not seeing them consistently pick up these stunt protections and things like that. So there you go. That's a good rep for the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. Like AJ said yesterday, we waste draft picks. He said stuff like this. I remember the Cowboys cut a lot of their unproductive guys and kept rolling the defensive side. Shows we have no depth. That's what I was talking about before. Our DNs are lined up so close to the OTs. Let them all go. OT can anchor and not have to really pick outside, I'm assuming. Not sure I get some of the moves Ron made and didn't make. Now because he's anchored, he's in position to pick up the looper. Yeah, so the alignment part, talk to me, because like how do you want, I'm asking, like I want to get your perspective. How do you want to align? You stand there so aligned, close aligned to the OTs. You must be talking about Shaka. Are you talking about Shaka? 98 or 58, excuse me? Or are you talking about Sweat in this instance? Either way, we'll continue. I want to hear what you got to say, Tyler, about the alignment, so I can get some perspective on that one. Okay, so here's the last thing. Now when we talk about Kendall Fuller, not Kendall Fuller, Cam Curl, this was kind of like a no excuse thing, and this is what Ron talked about as well, like the poor whiff tackle that you have for Kendall Fuller. This should be like a 7-yard gain. We're talking about explosive plays, right? This should be like a 7-yard gain from Kendall, from Dallas Goedert at least. Like Jamin Davis keys it very well. He eliminates the outside. Like Goddard isn't getting to the outside with this offensive lineman right here. Jamin Davis is taking that away. Cole Holcomb is closing in on the other offensive lineman trying to make a play. He squeezed him, tried to get to him, right? So now it's on Cam Curl to make the play. I'm sorry, let me go ahead and remove the comment, my bad. It's on Cam Curl to make the play. See how easy that was for Goddard, bro? He telegraphed this. Like, if you gonna go in there, you gotta go in there. So that was terrible. That's a Cam Curl thing. So again, we showed some of the things, like some of the instances where Kendall Fuller was in position, like even on the play to where is it? Even on the play to AJ Brown, right? You're in position to make the play. But again, what are we saying when we talk about Kendall Fuller, right? How is he a ball hawk? How does he make plays? He make plays with his eyes on the quarterback. He can make plays in terms of catching an interception or making a play like that with eyes on the quarterback. He's not that good when his eyes aren't on the quarterback, like trying to make plays in this instance, right? Again, this is an elite catch by AJ Brown, so don't get it twisted. I'm not taking that part away from him. This is a great play by AJ Brown, but I'm talking about our player. You got to live and die with what you can get out of your players. And this is really good coverage. It's really good coverage. It doesn't get any better than that. But if you're asking somebody to make a play on the football, get his head turned around and make that play, that's not going to be Kendall Fuller. It's not going to be him. That's just my opinion. And that's okay. So you live and die. You live and die with those type of reps, right? AJ Brown is a very good receiver. You just got to live and die with that instance. Let me go ahead and catch up. But they consistently play like wide 9 techniques. That's how they are, right? Like they do wide 9 stuff. And they traditionally played that. Like there are certain like philosophies that never change within certain like 34 defense for Pittsburgh. Like they always just play like they have certain things with certain schemes, right? So you're saying the wide alignment in a sense. But I'm trying to figure out like, so what does that do for them? All right, so let's go ahead and get into the offense. My bad, I'm tripping. Let me go ahead and clear this out. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the issues. And we're going to start with Carson Wentz, obviously. And the offensive line is going to coincide with the Carson Wentz thing, but we'll go ahead and tap into it right now. What is this doing? Hold on 2 seconds, y'all. But hey, appreciate everybody who's checking in right now. There's a lot of good on that defensive side of the football that I didn't tap into. Like the run game was there. Jonathan Allen, we showed it in the beginning, right? Like how do you stop from a front seven standpoint? How do you stop a mobile quarterback? How do you get in position to defend against a person who's as mobile as Jalen Hurts and who's as versatile as Jalen Hurts, right? Jalen Hurts dotted you up in man coverage. He gave his receivers chances downfield, especially when you were in man coverage. He attacked you, and that's kind of like it's on your receiver. I mean, it's on your defensive backs to really make a play at that point. And unfortunately, on Kendall Fuller's behalf, he wasn't able to do so. Benjamin St-Juste, he showed his comfortability in open space against his receivers, and that's what really made him stand out in terms of the secondary. But they're capable of defending these mobile quarterbacks, so don't ever get that part twisted. At this point, the way they defended Jalen Hurts, if they're not able to defend a Ryan Tannehill, a Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts again, Marcus Mariota, Daniel Jones, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, if they aren't able to defend these guys and allow them to get off, That is inexcusable because they've shown how good they are against one of the best mobile quarterbacks in the NFL right now. So understand that part. But let's go ahead and get back to the offense. Let's get back to the offense. He said, ain't no Sean Springs nowhere, no Daryl Green. He said, I'm placing sweat on the trade block. Montez has been quiet over the past 2 games, and that's unfortunate for a guy who's in the situation he's in, similar to Daron Payne. All right, here we go. Commanders offense, and let's go with the verse sack. Okay. So, let's run it one more time. Let me bring up my notes, my bad. So, when we talk about that mesh concept, right? This one was a different coverage than Washington. Obviously, these guys aren't in man coverage right now, right? I think they're in cover 3. But essentially, what you're seeing is look how they're able to play it from a discipline standpoint, seeing these crossers and getting in the way, right? But what happens in this sack altogether isn't a Carson. This one isn't really a Carson Wentz issue in a sense, right? A lot of people said that you could have dumped it off to Logan Thomas. And I mean, technically you could when he's open for a split second, right? Getting the ball to him right here. But I don't think that was even a feasible move. I think you're not getting anywhere throwing it to Logan Thomas. And to be honest with you, if it's even a split second off the way Logan Thomas is right now, it may be even an interception. But ultimately, what hurts these guys is you'll see Terry coming on the drag and Curtis Samuel's coming out of the backfield. You have a defender right by Terry who is influenced by Terry and the running back. So what hurts them is the fact that Curtis Samuel is not able to get out into the field sooner. And what that does, if Curtis Samuel is able to get out into the field sooner, right, and get into his route, that linebacker who was able to take away Terry's route right now, he has to make a decision on either, am I going to come up and check Curtis or am I going to stay on Terry? So what does that do for Carson Wentz if that linebacker has to choose between one of two receivers? It gives Carson Wentz a two-way go. It gives him an option to extend the drive, and he's not able to do that because the pressure gets to him, but also because Curtis Samuel isn't able to get into his route sooner. And this is what this means. Like, you'll see him step up, right? So he ultimately chose Curtis Samuel. And what does that do for Terry McLaurin? It leaves him open on the back end. He's wide open. So let's go up to the front. Again, this sack isn't really on Carson Wentz to me. And you'll see what happens here. Obviously, Charles Leno gives up a speed rush around the edge, right? A power rush, actually. Excuse me. Josh Sweat had like a good, what is this? A hump move? I don't know. I don't even know what this move is. But obviously, he gets behind his shoulder and is able to move him and turn the corner, just like that. But then you have 91 getting in Wes Schweitzer kitchen and driving him back. So he's unable to sustain, and when Josh Sweat gets around the edge, Carson Wentz isn't able to step up because there's pressure right in his face. Wes Schweitzer isn't able to anchor up and sustain against Fletcher Cox, and that's what happens. So on the front end, you see how a concept is able to work against that zone coverage, right? The linebacker essentially will have to choose against Curtis Samuel or Terry McLaurin. And also you see Curtis Samuel trying to get out, but now gets stuck between 91 and 97. And then on the back end, you see the pass protection not holding up all in the same vein. So there's several different things that's going on. There was an opportunity that would have opened up if he had 2 more seconds to throw the football. Even a second and a half to throw the football. I'm not even going to say 2 seconds. If you have a second and a half to throw the football longer, you'll have an opportunity to extend the drive. And you're talking about maybe a big play from either Curtis Samuel or Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin is presumably because he's wide open. Let's go ahead to sack number 2. So here, sack number 2 is rough. So obviously what you're seeing here at this point, max protection, which is weird. You're doing max protection right here, right? Not weird that you're doing max protection, but weird as in you're doing it and you're still giving up a sack. But you can't do anything if your offensive lineman is as Trey Turner was. To truly be able to like Fletcher Cox is a really good player, and I think Brandon Sheriff and Fletcher Cox, their battles was tremendous. That's a guy that you can trust against a very powerful defender in Fletcher Cox. But what you're seeing right here, chat disconnected, please wait while we try to reconnect to you. Okay, give me 2 seconds. Okay, all right, so what you're seeing right here, sorry, is Fletcher Cox playing with leverage, right? His hands are inside of Trey Turner. His hands are inside of Trey Turner's, right? Now he's just driving them with power. But what's hurting Trey Turner is he just basically opened up. He opened up his hips and gave Fletcher Cox a window to the quarterback. Instead of trying to anchor in, sink your hips and get under and try to reestablish yourself into the ground, right? He's giving up too much ground. His feet and his footwork are out of place. His hips are out of place. He has no power. He has no base to sustain anything against Fletcher Cox. And he basically drives him into the quarterback. So from a full play standpoint, right? A check down saves the day. Like, saves the day. And you get the ball out to Antonio Gibson, right? People can expect him to get the ball out quicker. I think that this is as good of a time that you can have to really get the ball out, drop, and then dump off to Antonio Gibson. Like, I don't think that's a problem. But the problem, I don't think this sack is on Carson Wentz at all. The problem comes in right here. Like, the first 2 sacks, I don't really think is a Carson Wentz issue. It's right here with Trey Turner. Like, you can't sustain versus that. And I'm talking about Trey Turner, right? You're seeing Sam Cosmi having issues, struggle with speed across. What is it? 7. Hassan Riddick. Yeah, so he had issues with, I think, Brandon Graham and Hassan Riddick throughout the game, right? But you're seeing Sam Cosmi well. I didn't mean to do that. I'm not about to repeat that thing again. Do you think they need to do more quick game and less long developing plays? Yeah, but we'll tap into one of the things. Like, they tried quick game, and this is the part in which Carson Wentz struggles. So Jarian, we're gonna tap into it, and you all will see in about 2 or 3 more sacks. It's crazy. 9 sacks, bro. We're only doing 6, by the way. We're not gonna do 9 sacks because I didn't even bother looking at the second half sacks. Like, the game was out of reach. They was getting smoked. I'm talking about the first 6 sacks that Wentz faced when the game was still in reach and competitive for Washington. But you'll see it, man. They had options. They had options. Where's 3? All right, here we go. All right. This is actually the one that I'm talking about. So Jarian asked, do you think they need to do more quick game, right? So I'm going to run the play and then we'll talk about it. All right. So here we go. I I think this one is where Wentz drops the ball. When you talk about quick game, like quick game requires quick processing as well, and being able to process things quickly. So what happens here, let's go ahead and run it. You see that safety 23, right? At the very end, he has a late rotation. And then you see 43, right? He's playing like a robber role. And then you have 57 chase that running back. So my point in bringing all that in, it's a cover one situation, but it's a late rotation. So what that late rotation does for Washington, I don't think Wentz is understanding from a pre-snap standpoint exactly what they're doing until the very end. But what that creates in terms of issues post-snap, after the snap happens, is the fact that he's late in throwing the football to Terry McLaurin. And you shouldn't be late throwing the football to your number one wideout, your number one receiver on your team, especially in man coverage. So if you see Darius Slay crash on the football, right, it's because why? Carson Wentz is one late to recognizing that it's man. He's also late in recognizing that there is a one-on-one situation between Darius Slay and Terry McLaurin, right? I think he believes that 23 again is in zone in a sense, right? But it ends up being a rotation. So Terry McLaurin is open right now. At this very instant, he's open. Ball needs to be out. You need to find a way to see that he's your first progression in this situation. But not only is the ball not out, it's like a whole half a second before he decides to pump fake. And now you get sacked. So that's on the front end. This is where, like, when you have that opportunity, quick game, right, Jerry? When you see the quick game situations, it's not just a Scott Turner thing. Like, my issue in this game was like the seventh, like people kept talking about 7-step dropbacks, right? Sometimes it was 7-step dropbacks. Sometimes it was his depth, but also it was sometimes getting the ball out quickly, understanding what you're seeing, getting the ball out and saving your offensive lineman from what just happened. And here's what just happened. Because he's not able to get the ball out quickly, the same situation that happens with Trey Turner, you see with Norwell. He's out leveraged, right? He's playing way too high against 97 Hargrave. And gives up that inside, like, turnstile. Open lane to the quarterback. Easy money. There's no footwork from Norwell. He can't recover. He can't sink his anchor. None of that. Blown off the ball. So again, in a situation in which you have an opportunity to dump the ball off quickly, your offensive lineman is suffering. I mean, obviously that's a bad look for any offensive lineman, but you could have saved your guy. And for those who are just tapping into Trapper Dive, again, good morning to everybody. Good morning to all the morning trappers out there. But for those who are just tapping in, if you look into the Jacksonville film session, we talked about how Carson Wentz was actually helping out his offensive lineman, right? Like, there were some times where the offensive lineman got beat. He was able to get the ball out. They were also playing different coverages than Carson Wentz is facing today. They were playing a little bit more soft. You were able to get that situation in terms of like forcing him to dump the ball off or find those quick outlets, right? These guys aren't playing that soft coverage that they face against Jacksonville, but they are giving him opportunities to get the ball out quickly, and he's having a processing issue. So Wentz processing, plus he's becoming a statue. Doesn't seem like Wentz mobility is a factor anymore. I agree, Jarian. Wentz struggles with this mobility part. Struggles in the sense of not necessarily that he can't run. It's the fact that, you know, he prefers to be a pocket guy. Like, that's just who he is. So yeah, that's what this situation is right here. You got to get the ball out quick. You got to understand that your receiver is one-on-one backside. Philly did a good job disguising their coverage and rotating as late as they possibly can, but also being disciplined in their assignment, covering everything. But you got to understand that your guy is one-on-one backside with one-on-one coverage, playing off coverage at that. Like, he's given what is that, 10-yard cushion? You got to eat that. You got to get the ball out. All right, so here we go. Here we go. Let's get some more. What's that? Sack 3. Let's go to sack 4. Again, they tried this mesh route again. And let's go ahead and think about what we showed with the Philly one, right? Like, they do a good job. They did a good job rubbing. And the way that Philly defends against this mesh concept was cleaner, but also, again, I think this was a cover 1, if I'm not mistaken. No, I think this was on cover 3. But either way, my point is with the linebackers, they have the linebackers stepping up on crossers, right? Like, they're not allowing themselves to get picked. So he steps up and they replace in terms of coverage responsibilities. That linebacker replaces the dragger. And what happens ultimately is that Jihad Dawson is confused. He doesn't know if he's supposed to rub him or continue, right? So he just bypasses him, but what it ultimately does is slow him down in the route. But furthermore, never mind the fact that they're trying to get that rub off, right? Philly is just sitting on this. It's a really good play in terms of coverage sack. It's really good responsibility in this coverage, picking up a mesh concept. Like, all of that is good for Philly. So in turn, it's a coverage sack. But ultimately, what people are criticizing him for, and I have a hard time doing this, is that he had a run lane, right? But how quickly are you going to give up on a play? Like, you can see where his eyes are, right? He's looking at that mesh. He's looking at that mesh right now, still looking at it. So maybe at this point, you're saying, all right, we need to make sure that Carson Wentz dumps this ball off, or Carson Wentz gets out of the pocket, throws it away, or tries to scramble. I think this is a 3rd and 5 too, so it's manageable. So maybe he's staying in the pocket too long. I don't think that he is. And I didn't think that he saw that this lane was wide open to him. And I don't know if you can critique a guy for not seeing with his eyes downfield that lane is wide open. But again, I think that's a coverage sack. I think that's a really good job by Philadelphia. It's hard for me to sit here and blame Carson on this one, even though there was a running lane for him. Well, yeah, that's also, I listened to Sheehan, right? But look, there was Sheehan also acknowledged that he didn't watch the All-22. Like, he acknowledged that part too. And again, I didn't look at anything in terms of the second half. Oh, I did look at the second half, but I just didn't bother like counting that against the offensive line or Carson Wentz. I didn't care that much because the game was out of reach. But yeah, Sheehan, I heard him. And I also think he's wrong in some of them, right? Like the one where we talked about right here with Terry McLaurin. He said that this one was on the offensive line. Nah, that's not on the offensive line. Like I heard him. Yeah, so I ain't take that with a grain of salt, respectfully. And also too, like when you watch film, like all of us, like if you're watching film, trust your eyes, especially if you believe in what you're seeing, trust your eyes. I don't think Kevin Sheehan is necessarily a person who's not capable of watching film, and that's no disrespect. It's just like when you know what you're seeing or something like that, yeah, just trusting your analysis, if that makes sense. So that's just everybody, because I could be dead wrong, but I trust what I see. I trust what I see, unless I hear somebody who I understand, who I go to, that says a little bit differently or give me some perspective type thing. All right, so where we at? Sack 4, right? Yeah, we did 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, here we go. So this is a product, I believe, on 3 things. I think it's a product of the offensive line. I think it's a product of the receiver that we're going to talk about. And then it's a product on the quarterback. So let's go ahead and run it back one more time and we'll talk about it, so we can kind of get a visualization of everything. Okay. So here we go. Armani Rogers is in on this play, right? All right, I see the comments. I'll get back to it in a second, fellas. What's going on, Marcus? Good morning, by the way. Sorry. So Armani Rogers is in this play, and for the life of me, I have been saying for some time, like, Armani Rogers has to get in on the field, right? And they have to use him down the field. Like, that's my opinion. Like, his speed is a threat. You got to find a way to get him downfield, right? Vertical routes, whether it's intermediate, whether it's deep routes, whatever, it doesn't matter. But the point is, Armani Rogers is on the field right now, and he's to the left side. He's in a tight split situation, so he is on the left side by Charles Leno, and he's running a crosser. He's running a drag, and it's a combination between himself. Where are we at? This is actually the 5th sack. Yeah, it's a combination between himself and the running back, right? Antonio Gibson and Armani. They're just running a crosser in a sense. So at this moment right here, what you're seeing is Armani Rogers continuing his route, which is the route that's called. But what hurts Armani, and this is his youth, right? His inexperience showing. I think that the biggest thing for receivers, especially against zone coverage, when you have that zone opening, right? Let's go ahead and go back to it. When you have that opening right here, sit. This is where you sit and provide opportunity for your quarterback. So when we talk about sacks, right? It's a number of things that play a factor. It's not just the quarterback. It's not just the offensive line. It's not just the coordinator. You need people to execute. So if you look at this play right here, instead of continuing to go across the line of scrimmage on your route, the drag route, right? Sit. You need to sit and create opportunity for your quarterback. And that's having spatial awareness. That's being understanding of the coverage you're facing, right? Because if you just sit, you're getting the first down and maybe even more. So sit down in this instance, right? So that's the first thing that happens. Let's talk about that. But at the top of his drop, he has an option to dump it off right now, and he holds on to it a little bit too longer. He has that small little hitch right here, right? Could have dumped it off. He didn't. It's hard. Again, he fumbled, and it's not necessarily an easy thing, but part of being quarterback is actually facing that pressure and being able to get the ball off under pressure. So here we go. Here's what you see on the offensive line. All right. So Andrew Norwell and Brandon Graham. You got Brandon Graham on the right side of 76, Sam Cosmi. Mind you too, Jay, by the way, the conversation, like the alignment between Montez Sweat and Brandon Graham aren't really that different in terms of the space that they have between each other. Like if you think about that stunt play, right? Similar alignment between these two. But here you go. Andrew Norwell unable to really sustain against the power. I think that's Jordan Davis, I believe. Can't tell. But again, driving him back into the quarterback. Driving him. He can't sink his hips. He can't sustain against that power. He has no contact with the ground in the sense of being able to establish anything. Right? And then you have Sam Cosmi and Trey Turner on the right side. If you're going to take that 45, you got to establish that half man. And what really hurts him is just the overall push right there by Trey Turner, if you see it. So if you see Trey Turner, he comes in to help, but he pushes his hips. And I guess he thought that Brandon Graham was going to fall, but Brandon Graham is an athlete. He has good balance. Like that doesn't do anything but hurt Sam Cosmi. And now that hurts him, he's able to get around, and there you go, fumble, boom. And that's a result of that. That's sack number 5. We got one more sack. And then we'll talk about some more things with Carson Wentz. But these are what's going on with the plays. It's a combination of things, man. It's a combination of things. I'm just going to go back to so if the concept is front side, QB was supposed to abandon the concept and go backside. No, I think what you're seeing, because I know we're talking about that cover 1 situation, that late rotation. I think what you got to see, like sometimes like your reads can change based on the coverage. Like the coverage can dictate where you're supposed to go. And in that instance, because I know you asked the question, we're not going to go back to the not going to go back to the whole play. We'll just talk about it right here, right? And then push forward. So if the concept is front side, QB is supposed to abandon the concept and go backside. It's a difference. Like, if you think about it, where is he looking right now? He's looking at Terry McLaurin. The issue is his processing, his pre-snap. It's not about, what the concept is looking like, right? You gotta have that. Like, first thing he did was look right. But to be honest with you, you have to understand that Terry McLaurin is one-on-one man coverage, off coverage at that, 10 yards off the ball to hit your man. Matter of fact, I thought that this may come up, and I'll show you an example from Philly and how they defended this, or how they played this. Excuse me. Let me see if I have it. Similar situation, because I figured this was going to be a topic, right? Cover one situation. The only difference between Washington and Philly is that Philly saw it from the very beginning. Like, Washington didn't disguise it. They were in a single high situation, right? So that's easy money. Look at Jalen Hurts. Ball is out. And the ball, look at where his release point is. Ball is already on the way out as soon as he turns around. Boom. Plant, go. Same thing, off coverage. They're showing that cover one. The same situation. Ball has to be out. And that's what I'm saying, that pre-snap part. If you're talking about front side or whatever concept, you have to understand, like, the coverage dictates, like, which way. You can have different concepts on either side of the football, on either side of the ball. You have to understand from an execution standpoint. You have to understand from a coverage standpoint, pre-snap, what things are. And Philly did a good job with their late rotation. It confused Carson. It took him off of Terry McLaurin. But Terry McLaurin should have been the first guy in terms of man coverage. That should have been your man. And this is a comparison of exactly what that looks like when you're able to see things clearly and execute and get the ball out of your hands. It shouldn't take that long for Carson Wentz. All right, so here we go. Yeah, but hey, that's what that. Hey, so Jay, I agree with you, right? I 100% agree with you. And this is what we're diving into with Carson Wentz, right? We didn't disguise the coverage. That's the first thing. The second thing is, cover two. You can get cover four out of that look as well. The middle field being open. Like, that's what concept confuses them, but that's what makes Tom Brady good. That's what makes Aaron Rodgers some of the best, right? And we're distinguishing what Carson Wentz is and why there's limitations in terms of his processing. So I 100% agree with you, and I think that's part of the problem that they're tapping into right now. That's what we're tapping into. Okay, so let's go ahead back to the offense and get back to where are we at? Sack number 6. Here we go. This is the last one for sacks. All right, let's go ahead and run it back one more time. So obviously, you get a cover one situation once again, and third and long, right? So Washington does a good job with their vertical routes. It's not necessarily a good job, it's whatever. But essentially they do clear outs, right? So those receivers could be open in essence, like if you can win with your speed. So in theory, you can win if you get time, right? But ultimately, what the clear outs do is create an excellent lane for J.D. McKissic, who is money on these type of concepts, these Texas routes, these option routes, all those things. It's money. It's always money. But as we're going into this, do not forget this concept, because we're going to go right back to it, and we're going to show another processing thing for Carson Wentz. So Texas route is open right here. You have a big opportunity, maybe even 20 plus yards for J.D. McKissic, right? Wide open. Sack, fumble. Carson Wentz is able to recover. But this one, again, I don't really put on Carson Wentz, because this is an incredible play. Like, the ball is about to be out. He's trying to pass the ball to J.D. McKissic right here. Like, he's about to pass it. And maybe the hitch step is problematic, right? Maybe the hitches that he took is problematic. But he's trying to climb the pocket. But Hassan Riddick makes an excellent play on Sam Cosmi. He's able to get around, turn the corner, but extend. And that's a playmaker. That's somebody making a play, ultimately. So again, J.D. McKissic is open, but I can't fault Carson Wentz for not being able to get the ball out quicker. Like he's ready. He's getting ready to throw. I can't fault Carson Wentz for this. And to be honest with you, like a conversation was had on Twitter in terms of who he was targeting. I thought that it was J.D. McKissic, but I'm not even sure anymore. Like, it looks like he was going to Jihad Dawson, which would have been a terrible mistake. That would have been a tough throw to make. That would have been a very tough throw to make. But it looks like he was going to Jihad the more I look at this. I hope that he was going to JD. But that's what happens, man. That's the 6th sack of the game. So if you had to do your count, right? How many would you all say? Come on, bruh. Why how did you get that from my conversation? That my whole point is that he's not Wentz, that he's not Rodgers and Brady, and that's the problem that Washington is running into. He can't process, or he's struggling. It's not that he can't. He's struggling to process some of these things. And that's what's making Philly look effective against him, and that's what's making Detroit effective against him. So I'm not comparing Wentz to Rodgers and Brady. I'm saying what makes them great is their ability to pick up those pre-snap games that these secondaries are playing, these rotations and what they're truly hiding. Like think about it like this. What's the word? The cadence. I'm sorry, I don't know why I couldn't pick it up, but the cadence. Like when you call those goals or the hut, like what that does, it takes them out of that shell that they're in. Like when you call go on 2, right? If the snap count is on 2, and you get them to show their true coverage after that, like that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like they're able to manipulate these secondaries and get their true coverage, and that's what helps these guys. And I'm saying Wentz struggles to do that. All right, bro. I ain't about to keep doing it. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward to some other situations for let's start with, there's a few things I'm trying to figure out where to start. Let's talk about some of the bigger ones. Let's go here. So some of the things that really hurt Wentz, as well as, you know, the processing parties, is also the accuracy and the decision making after the snap, right? So right here, I'm gonna let the play start and then I'll get back to it. All right, so again, we talked about the pressure getting to him, the sacks. We talked about the processing, pre-snap processing. Right here, you're facing a cleaner coverage, and Jihad Dawson wins in the slot, right? So for my opinion, I would love for Carson Wentz to just hit the open man, right? Jihad Dawson gets open, he wins easily, middle of the field, big opportunity. But you're set, and you're bird dogging your receiver, Terry McLaurin. You're eyeing him down. You're eyeing him down, right? I don't mind the shot to Terry either. Like I get the shot. If you want to take the shot, go for it. But where Wentz messes up is that, again, he stares him down. He gives the safety, the over the top safety, the quarter safety over there, or half safety, deep half, excuse me. He gives him no opportunity to manipulate him. Like, it's just staring him down. So now you get a coverage in situation where the safety is able to get over top of your cornerback and your receiver and provide that safety help. But that's the first thing, right? Being able to look off the guy. He didn't do it. He didn't try to manipulate him in any way. But then the throw was also terrible. You don't even give Terry a chance. So in essence, if you're going to hit this, you got to get, they call it like the honey hole, right? So in a situation where you had that cover 2 window between the flats and the deep half, you have to be more accurate. Obviously, you have to be more timely. Like, the ball should have been out if you're going to throw it. Or excuse me, it should have better touch. I'm not going to sit here and say it should have been out at that point. It just has to be better touch. and he doesn't give his receiver a chance. So that was an issue. Obviously, the accuracy, throwing high, situations like that. Let's go ahead and get to some more. That's the honey hole shot. Here, let's go ahead and run this one. This is a 3rd and long situation. Yeah, that's Tom Brady in one game. And I'm not going to sit here and say Brady process is slow and teams the sky as well. Like that's just like there's a 20 year track record that shows that's not the case. And if you want to argue against that, then use Peyton Manning if you disagree with Tom Brady. It is what it is. But ultimately, what's up, Dakota? All right, so here we go, 3rd and 10, right? It's an aggressive shot here, and Jihad Dawson wins, right? So you're having Jihad Dawson run a deep corner. You have, and this is, I think, a cover 6 situation again. You have another cover 6 defense, if not quarters, but I think this is more cover 6. But what you're seeing right here is Jahan running a curl, or excuse me, a corner, and you have Logan Thomas running a deep out, and you have a crosser underneath. So you have that safety or that cornerback that was riding Logan Thomas crash on that drag route, right? That's what you see him doing. So you can take that opportunity downfield. So Jihad Dawson does a really good job, first off, manipulating the defender, taking that inside route, and then breaking back outside, manipulating the hips. He wins. And he's going towards the sideline, like a flatter route as he breaks out, right? Because you're creating yourself opportunity on the sideline. So I don't know what Carson Wentz is doing in terms of his decision making. I think that he knows, like he read it well in terms of his anticipation, right? And understanding that Dotson won with leverage. Like, it is what it is. All you got to do is make the throw now, and this is what you get. Not even a chance. He throws it upfield and out of bounds. So who knows what Carson Wentz was thinking in terms of trying to get Jahan Dotson the target. Maybe he thought that Jahan was going to continue upfield, and that was a miscommunication. But I think Jahan played this the right way. The way you create and maintain that separation is flattening your route and going towards the sideline. And maybe Carson Wentz should have been able to understand that, look, my guy's open, but I got it. It's an aggressive throw. It's a very tough throw to throw that far from that side of the field. And then also hit him right there on the sideline. It's a tough throw. But if you're gonna make if you want to make the throw, you gotta give your guy a shot. He didn't do it. All in all, I don't think the problems we have can get solved quickly. Oh yeah, for sure. We talk about it all the time. Like, it ain't gonna get fixed in the regular season. It ain't gonna get fixed in the regular season. Okay. So remember, I asked you all to remember that Texas route, right? And this is kind of how pressure got to him. Carson Duggan at this point. This is the processing thing that I'm getting to, right? So we're gonna run this and then we'll talk about it. This is a 3rd and 5 situation. And now you're getting a favorable look for this man or zone concept, right? You're running that drag and you're running the Texas route behind it. You see the ball getting dumped off quickly, right? This is 3rd quarter now at this point. So for context speaking, this is the 3rd quarter where you're having this issue. He's getting the ball out. We have to punt, right? But now, look again. When you're facing the quarters defense, when you're facing that cover 4, what's available to you is the flats, right? The flats are always going to be available to you based on the coverage that you're playing. There's always going to be natural holes in the zone defense. Like, no matter what you play, it's going to be natural holes in the zone defense. And it's going to be important for your quarterback and for your coordinator to find it. Scott Turner, he has a lot of cover 3 beaters in his offense. Cover 2 beaters, he has a lot of those in his offense. I mean, in essence, like, there's natural cover 4, cover 6 beaters in his offense as well. So again, let's go back to it. The flats are open and against that cover 4. So now the ball is ready to get out because he sees how open Curtis Samuel is. But what happens up top? Look at Logan Thomas. Linebacker passes him off. Or excuse me, let me be clear. He doesn't pass him off. He just holds him for a second, but he has to release him. Like he has to. So now look at this end zone angle, and you'll see it a little bit more clear. His clock is sped up. Carson Wentz's clock is sped up. But if you just give it 2 seconds, look where Logan Thomas is. He's clear. Give it a couple seconds. Buy yourself some time. Logan Thomas is clear. And let's go back to the space that he has. This is the first down. The sticks are at the 30. Look where Logan Thomas is at. That's a first down. Oh yeah, in his mind, yeah, I agree. But that's where I'm getting at, Jay. Like, it's pressure getting to him. He feels like he has to get the ball out quicker, and that is what it is, right? But he feels like he has to get the ball out quicker, and that's what's really hurting him. That's what really hurting him. So, let's go ahead and get back to it. The pressure is really getting to him, and that's ultimately what's affecting him. Like, when you have 6 sacks in the first half, it's the same thing that we did against the Detroit film, Jay. Like, when you look at what happened in that first half, as he got pressured, there were still opportunities for him to make plays, and he wasn't able to elevate and overcome that. Pressure got to him. Pressure shortened his internal clock, and that's what really hurt him. So you have Logan Thomas open right here. You have to hit it. We have a couple more, and then we're done with this one. So that's a processing thing. Let me see if I had any more processing. I think that was it. We'll go back to let's do the RPO. Oh shoot, I didn't realize I had so many videos in my studio. Let me get rid of these. 2 seconds, y'all. And appreciate everybody who checking in. Hey, just a reminder, welcome into the Washington Commanders morning show here on the Trapper Dive YouTube channel. If you are new to the Trapper Dive, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button. I don't know wherever way you are watching right now, but we do appreciate it. We do hope that you can stick around in the future and things like that, right? But make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you are over on Twitch, make sure you hit that follow button over there, man. We truly appreciate it. We are currently going through Philly and Washington film session. We went through the defense first. If you are just checking in, you can hit the rewind button or the replay button and start with the defense. There were some good things. I truly believe that this defense altogether, when it comes to mobile quarterbacks, as prepared as they was against Jalen Hurts, there should be no excuses moving forward against the several mobile quarterbacks that they got coming up against. Marcus Mariota, Dak Prescott, at least one time, assuming that he stays healthy until week 18. Deshaun Watson, Daniel Jones twice. You got Jalen Hurts one more time. You got Justin Fields coming up and Ryan Tannehill. I think that this defense, in terms of preparation against these type of quarterbacks, there should be no excuses moving forward because they showed how capable they are from a preparation standpoint of defending these mobile quarterbacks, an elite one at that. So if you can't defend anybody under Jalen Hurts, that is just inexcusable in another situation and where the pressure is back on Jack Del Rio, because you showed how good you can be against this guy in terms of preparation and execution up front. Offensively, we are going through Carson Wentz right now. What's going on, Mike? Good morning. Good morning to everybody that's checking in, the Morning Trappers. But offensively, we're talking about Carson Wentz right now. Some of the sacks that he had, we went through the first 6 sacks, all that acquired in the first half. We have some more clips that we're going to show, but all that acquired in the first half. The second halves, I didn't even go through. I didn't go through 7, 8, or 9. There's no need to go through 7, 8, or 9 here because the game was out of reach. 4th and 22. Who the fuck cares if it's on Carson Wentz or the offensive line at this point, right? So don't worry about the second half sacks, but the first half sacks, you see that it's a blend of offensive line, that it's a blend of quarterback, that it's a blend of receivers. The 5th sack that Carson Wentz took, Armani Rogers continues on a route in which he probably should have sat. and that's inexperience. That's understanding of your zones that you're playing up against, right? Carson Wentz, his processing is hurting him in a sense as well in certain situations, and then obviously the offensive line is really hurting him as well. So I think it's a combination in all six of who this should really be on top of Philadelphia playing really good defenses in certain situations, right? Hey, what's going on, Tony? Appreciate you checking in. Protect checking in. Hey, already, bro, we need to get to 1K. We've been a little stagnant in the 900s, slowly getting up there, man. But I do appreciate everybody who's checking in. Let's go ahead and continue this film session this morning. And also for everybody that has been watching, appreciate y'all who've been watching from the beginning. Jay has been active as well. I appreciate, even though I did take issue with you thinking I was comparing the two. Just really wanted to shed light on how some of the better quarterbacks do it. But to your point, Jay has been very active. I want to get y'all opinion to this point of how do you think this offense fared in that first half from a execution standpoint, and also the issues that you've seen from Carson Wentz. In your opinion, what has been the main thing to you? All right, so we did. Let's go ahead and get back to my bad. Give me 2 seconds. I'm about to bring up some more tape right quick. Here we go. You're saying he's holding the ball. He's got to speed up. He's getting nitpicked to death. Yeah, and my bad. I meant to continue this. He is getting nitpicked, but I don't think that, like, when you look at the tape, and if you look at the tape, which what we're doing, it's a give and take. It's a give and take. All right, so here we go. Some of those are just more so somebody reaching. Rich, what's going on? Appreciate you checking in. Good morning. All right, so here we go. Here is which one is this? Let's see, because I don't know. Oh, this is just the accuracy thing. Again, it was just an off day for Carson. Hit your guy. There's no need to even go a deep dive into it. Just hit your guy. He did a really good job processing the coverage. You got to cover one situation, I believe. And initially I thought that Logan Thomas should have been the play right here. But you got that safety, that single high safety crashing down on Logan. It's better to hit that second window, that second receiver. But you got to hit your guy, and you throw it high. Let's go ahead and show another angle. CTE. Shout out to Michael Irvin, bruh. Down here in Florida, hunkered down, watching the morning show. Hey, man, I know I've been following lightly. I got family down there in Florida, so I'm definitely monitoring in a sense, bro. But I hope you safe, man. I hope you prepare from the emergency standpoint. Food, water, necessities, all that good stuff, big dog. I hope all is well with you and your family, man. So yeah, there's that, and then we have, I think, yeah, we got 2 more, and then we're done. One more on Carson, this one, and then one more on the run game. Accuracy thing. And now the issue here, like I looked to see if Brandon Graham tipped this, but I just think he affected it with his hands in the throwing window. But ultimately, where's the touch at? Like, have some touch on this throw. Like, you don't have to drill it, just have some touch. Get it over his hands, bro. That's a first down probably. So there's a culmination of what happened, culmination of things that happened in this game against the Philadelphia Eagles. That was a poor throw. Again, we had some touch throws that he missed. There was some processing issues that he had. Philadelphia did a really good job at disguising and creating confusion for Carson Wentz. And then let's get to the run game. And I made one. Yeah, here it is. I had one thing, Orlando. Okay. How you feeling over there, Mike? Big Simp, what's going on, big dog? Appreciate you checking in. Good morning. So here we go. So initially when I started this, right, I had said that the run game, like, this is a 5-yard game from Antonio Gibson, right? Even some of the bigger runs in that first half, I said that they needed to run the ball more, right? They had some success and they were showing some success. But ultimately, the running backs made a lot of these plays. Some of the bigger gains in this game, in the first half at least, was on the byproduct of a running back or the Philadelphia defense playing a soft coverage because they're in a third and long situation or a second and long situation, so they can give up 10 and still be fine. So that's going to boost the numbers up, right? And I'm saying they need to run the ball more. They're establishing or something. But if you look at the tape, again, a really good game from Gibson. I think there's a really good reach block from Sam Cosmi, your right tackle, right? Being able to cross the face of the defensive lineman, establish his position, right? But then you have 93 essentially blow up the play and cutting off Gibson's path. And then you have 90, Jordan Davis, who Trey Turner has to reach. And Trey Turner isn't quick enough for this. He's not quick off the ball. That's just naturally what he isn't doing. So for Jordan Davis, a person who is refusing to get reached and is really good, right? He's in position to blow up this play, penetrate the backfield, and ultimately disrupt for Philadelphia. This is all on Gibson at this point. Obviously with the help of Sam Cosmi, right? He did it. He did as good a job as he can do. Like, he's not expecting Antonio Gibson to be behind him. He's not expecting Trey Turner and Jordan Davis to be in the backfield as deep as he is. So he makes that play, 5-yard gain. Now, again, that's my only rep to show you all here on this show, but it's a culmination of things that they faced in terms of their inability to establish anything on the ground game. As good as we thought that they were running, this was an effort, a byproduct of Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissic making plays. The offensive line is still struggling, especially that interior. They're struggling. And maybe they have better fortune against the Dallas Cowboys, who aren't that stout in the run game up front. And maybe you have a better situation. Maybe you run like a lot of gap plays, concepts where you're not asking these guys to do a ton of reach blocks. Like, they're just going north-south. Maybe some pulls here or there. Like, but not moving laterally, maybe. So there may be some opportunity against the Dallas Cowboys, but that offensive line, Trey Turner, and let me show you all example for those who are unfamiliar in what I'm saying with the reach blocks, right? Where is this one? Is it this one? I don't think it's this one. Let me try one more. My bad. That's not the one I'm looking for. Set no gain. Is it this one? This ain't it either. I'm just trying to find an example of what reach blocks and successful reach blocks can do. Now I don't think they really. Let me look for one more because I don't think I have it numbered. And if I don't, oh well. I really don't. It's no big deal to me. Try this one more time. If this, where is the? Yeah, I don't think I have it. Okay, I don't have it. So Philly did, and it wasn't great all the time, right? Because Jonathan Allen blew up a ton of plays. Same thing with Deron Payne. They blew up a couple plays in the backfield as well. So it wasn't like a ton of times in which they were able to get successful reach blocks, Philadelphia, or even double teams in that instance. But yeah, man, I think that when you're talking about projecting after what you saw against the Lions and the Eagles, what's going to hurt this offense is really how they're able to protect Carson Wentz. And this is what 757 is bringing up. Good morning, 757. Appreciate you checking in. Good morning to everybody who has just checked in. That offensive line, they need to fix. And I honestly think, yeah, they clearly made a mistake with Eric Flowers. But I honestly think there may be some solutions on your team right now. You may have to find a way to get Chris Paul on the field. He's athletic. He is quick. He's not that sound fundamentally or technique wise, and that's okay. He's a young guy, but you may have to find a way to get him on the field and get him in the interior along with Wes Schweitzer. You got to find a way to get Nick Martin or Wes Martin on the field if you're the centers and as the center position. And if you truly don't trust Nick Martin or Wes Martin at center, then you have to find a way to think about kicking Sam Cosmi inside. But I don't think that Cornelius Lucas, is as good as everybody's saying. Sure, he's a swing tackle. He provides good depth, but I don't think he's like as good as people are remembering him to be. He didn't have that good of a season last year, in my opinion. So that's that. Here we are. We made a mistake not keeping Bill Callahan around. Dude, it was all. Now let's not. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Masco was okay. And I don't want you all like, and this is the conversation that we had early. Like, John Masco is a good offensive line coach, but you also got to understand the talent that he got sometimes. And if that talent pool ain't that good, especially with your starters, Andrew Norwell and Trey Turner, you won't have problems. And Chase Roullier, for what it's worth, like we talked about it here at least, Chase Roullier had issues early on. I mean, they were solid in pass protection with him, but he wasn't able to sustain against power as well. Like, that offensive line, the interior is weak up front when it comes to power. They'll continue to have these issues, but they have to find a way to get it fixed. And maybe it's somebody who can actually move a ton better than who they have up front when it comes to Norwell and Turner. Who is to blame for our talent pool? Oh yeah, hey, we know it. We know the answer. And that's what I'm getting at. Like, that is not Masco. Like, he had talent last year. He had Eric Flowers. He had Brandon Sheriff. Right. For a period, he had Chase Roullier. Like, they had a good talent pool. They had good starters. It's dwindled for the obvious reasons right here. Interior offensive line. And now you got a combination of a suspect interior offensive line, Carson Wentz, who has processing issues at times, and then a coordinator who is slow to adjust. All these things is a culmination of the offseason issues that 757 brings up. Who is responsible for the talent pool? That is Ron Rivera. I'm looking at Leno, Paul, Nick Martin, Cosme, Lucas. So you're benching Wes, and you're benching all three of those guys. Wes, Andrew, and Trey. Okay. I look at Baltimore and I'm like, they have a fullback. Why not us? I mean, shit, that's what they got John Bass around for whatever reason. I don't know. It's weird, man. How you bring in Trey Turner and Norwell, but then bring in Cam Newton? Hey, look, first and foremost, they used the 2015, 2016 scouting reports for Norwell and Turner. They didn't give a damn about what they currently look like on an offense. I don't think they should have been picked up, and they shouldn't be viewed as starters or solid replacements. But Ron Rivera and company, they actually prefer the people that they know. So that's that. Williams playing. I ain't bring up. I agree with you, Jay. Appreciate you checking in. I ain't worried about no Cam Newton. But overall, I'm actually surprised because I think that's what Hawk is bringing out. Like, how you bring up all these guys but not Cam? He had a couple opportunities to do that. Jim Williams came back to at least talk to Ron, and Ron played dumb games. Yep, he said, "Fuck out of here, Trent. We about to ship your ass to San Fran." Ron dealt with Cam because he's winning games. Yeah, man. So that's that. Hey, look, we're an hour 38 in. I am going to try to do like a quick stream on Friday. If you all remember, administrative wise, I'm going to the Dallas game this week, so I won't be around Monday. I won't be around Monday morning. I won't be around Sunday after the game. There will be no Trapper Dive post game on Trapper Dive channel. I have to make sure if I have enough time before my flight, I'm going to be on here, but it'll be probably like an hour or so, and we're going to do all things Philly, Dallas. Washington, Dallas. We're going to do all things Washington, Dallas for like an hour or so. But Trapper Dive will definitely be here. The podcast will definitely be here tomorrow. So if you all want to tap in with AJ, Dre, and myself, always welcome through to come in. It's going to be us three. So I'll probably try to open up the floor to everybody. Anybody that wants to talk Dallas in Washington or just Washington in general, so we can have the call-ins just in case we're not around on Friday, right? And then next week, I'll remind you all about next week tomorrow on the podcast, schedule-wise, and things like that. So y'all be safe. Jay, our offensive line is like yours and more Thanksgiving meal. Hey, that is funny. I gotta holler at you because I'm like, where is Alex? All right, hey, so see us tomorrow, 7 o'clock. We're gonna be here at 7 p.m. sharp. All right, so y'all be safe. Enjoy y'all Wednesday. Be safe, man. Be safe, and y'all in Florida, Orlando, and Rich, y'all be safe, man. Enjoy y'all day, enjoy y'all evening, all that good stuff. We out of here.